Damon Wayans recently appeared on 97.9 The Box to promote several shows he had that weekend at Houston Improv. During that interview, Wayans openly challenged Dave Chappelle to a comedian versus. The challenge went viral and caused many to choose sides on who they thought would win the battle. A versus with comedians is an untapped market, and plenty of people expressed that this would be something that they want to see. Today we have our comedy hype analysts, Vanessa Fraction, Capone, and Pierre calling into the studio to share their thoughts. But first, let's take a listen.
Let me ask you, have you been watching Versus?
No, I have not.
You haven't got into Versus?
No, do they do it with comedians?
They should, right?
Who would you go against?
Chappelle.
Ooh.
You would go against Chappelle?
I'm calling them out.
Oh, you heard it on this show. You're calling out Dave Chappelle.
Versus Damon Wayans.
Oh, man.
Somebody get Timberland and Swizz Beatz on the phone right now, please.
I'm on the phone line right now.
Now, as I mentioned, people went crazy in the comments. They're pretty much at this point asking for, to see a comedy versus. Vanessa, coming to you, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, if y'all would allow me to pontificate on the recertification of the anal tract, which has begun to bleed into the colostomy, into the crater of my...
Right.
I'm saying all this because I love Damon Wayans. That is Oswald from In Living Color, and I absolutely love him. Am I for versus? I would say yes. And the way that Pierre and I had just kind of explained it, where it's like people have either comedy specials or you have even sets that you've done that are recorded, and you can literally go joke for joke, on the heat. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I'd definitely be down for it. You know what I mean? I don't really do snaps. You know what I'm saying? As Capone was talking about, like we join on each other and back and forth. That's not really my thing. So I'm really down for bit for bit. You know what I'm saying? This bit against this bit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a thing.
Right. Pierre, I want to come back to you, and then Capone, I'll come to you because I know you guys are a little bit more opposed. Would you say that competition is not a part of comedy? And Pierre, I'll start with you first.
No, I never said that. Competition is definitely, trust me, when you see 4 or 5 comedians go on stage, each one is trying to outdo each other. I don't care how nice they are behind stage and patting each other back and good set. The next new comic coming out is trying to tear the stage up stronger than the one did before that. So competition is definitely what we have, but like I said, putting 2 comedians on stage, you gotta let them do joke for joke each time, trying to tear each other's head up with the funniest joke that they have. That's the only way I can see it working.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point. Before coming to you, Capone, I'm going to have you answer this. So someone did leave a comment, and I want to read it, and then I want to break it down because I think he did exactly what you're talking about. Like, it's hard to judge, a comic in one space. So he says, stand-up, Dave, not close. So basically saying Dave took stand-up. For movies, he picked Damon. For a sketch, he picked Dave. For TV, he picked Damon. And then at the end, it just depends on the day. So Capone, I want to come to you and just ask in those categories, because I do think sometimes when you're judging a comedian on his work, it's difficult to pick things from a grand scheme, but to narrow in, I'm going to ask you, between Dave and Damon, who would you choose for stand-up?
I would say Damon.
What about for movies?
Damon.
For sketch?
Dave.
And for TV?
Damon.
Gotcha. Vanessa, I want to come to you and ask you the same thing, and I'm going to break it down for you. Break it down.
I don't need it broke down. I do not need a breakdown. I've been a comedian for a long time. All of us have. I can already tell you I've already thought about it. Dave for me is definitely stand up. He's more social commentary, racism, stoner stuff. It just has a wide range of things that he goes through. Damon, I love his physicality, his talking about family, all that great stuff. But if you're going stand up, I got to go Dave. If we're going pretty much anything else for me, if I had to choose a Damon Wayans channel or a Dave Chappelle channel, and it's their body of work, anything they've ever been in, then I'm picking Damon.
Straight to the point. I like it. I'm coming to you, Pierre.
Ooh, damn. Ooh, it's hot over there. It's hot over there, Vanessa. I ain't mad at you, girl. I said what I said.
Thought about this. This is serious. I love them. I mean, all the Men on Film, Last Boy Scout, Major Payne, Great White Hype. Like, Damon is a beast. He do what he do. But Dave Chappelle on stage is so thought-provoking and so funny and quick.
Yeah. Now, Pierre, I want to come to you. I know you and Dave have a connection. You know, we've talked about you being Mr. the Great Pierre, you know, that Dave has talked about. When we're going through these, I'm coming to you. I'm going to start with stand-up. Who would you choose?
Okay. And I've been a proponent for Damon Wayans for years, thinking he's one of the most underrated stand-up comics. When people mention the top 10 comics, he doesn't ever get listed, and that's very unfair. He's definitely in my top 7, as is Dave Chappelle. Damon is just as powerful on stage as Dave Chappelle. We've just seen more of Dave Chappelle. Trust me. I know. Go back and see Damon's HBO specials and stuff. He has murdered the thing. Okay, and social conscience comedy. I remember the time he did a joke about, Damon, is there any racism in Hollywood? You know, they give him all this money and stuff like that, and they ask him his racism and stuff. He's always been on top of that kind of stuff. Yeah. He just doesn't have the same body of work. He might have 2 specials where Chappelle has, 12 specials, 15. So it's a different balance. But, one night on stage, battling back and forth, it's a draw for me. I can't even tell you which one between the two on stand-up comedy. So I can't. I just cannot tell you which one. Both of them are evenly yoked on stage to me.
That's totally fair. Let's go into the next category of movies.
I would give it to I would go with Damon Wayans. But Damon has a little more work, a little more. But the work I've seen with them two, between the two, I would go with Damon.
Okay.
Yes, I would go with Damon.
Next up is sketch.
Sketch comedy. Woo! There's another neck because you have to give credit for Damon. You got to give Damon. He did some groundbreaking characters. He did some groundbreaking back in the early '90s. People weren't doing those kind of edgy sketches at the time. He opened the door for Dave Chappelle to do those edgy sketches. Yes, I'd give Eddie Murphy a little more, but he wasn't even as edgy as they were in Living Color. Okay, Damon really went there with the white and all that. So on that tip, it's a even mark for me.
That's totally fair. Last but certainly not least, TV.
What does TV mean? I don't know what TV.
Like TV shows, things like that.
What does Chappelle? Besides Chappelle show? What did he do on TV? Exactly.
You just got to answer the question, right?
I guess he
answered. No, I'm messing with you saying like that's the point. Yes, it's just the Chappelle show, so you got to answer the question. Who's better on TV? Well,
hold on. Is it Chappelle show versus In Living Color? Then that's what you got to ask me. Those two.
Well, not In Living Color. He also had My Wife and Kids.
No, I know.
And Lethal Weapon.
And I agree.
Very good.
I agree. Well, Chappelle doesn't have that, so he only had one. Chappelle only had one show, so I can't.
That's not
one
his
guy
fault.
got 5 shows, one got 1. I'm gonna go with the 5 shows. I'm gonna go with the 5 shows if that's the case. I mean, but it's only because of numbers. It's only because of numbers. That's all. The better question I think would have been Chappelle show versus In Living Color. Now you got something to talk about. But yeah, I'll go with Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans had a lot more TV shows.
That's good. I think you bring up a great.
They're good.
Now I think and I know there's some seems to be like it's I think. For our people, it's like a culture thing. They just want to see body of work in front of it, and just like that friendly competition. So I think, versus could be helpful, and especially like you said, Pierre, a lot of people don't know the work that Damon Wayans has done. And sometimes, when I am watching Versus, I see things or hear things that maybe I wouldn't have on a regular basis. So I do think something like this could be groundbreaking, and people that are coming in, it just gives them an opportunity to be able to see things that we probably wouldn't have seen. Now, Vanessa, I want to come to you in that same space, and with that thought in mind, is there anyone else that you would want to see in that space in a comedian versus, if there was to be one?
No, I would just put myself in there and battle somebody.
Come on now.
There you go.
I can't think of who I'm just sitting around waiting, because we see each other on stage all the time, so I already pretty much have my opinions on Versus. You know what I mean? So the only verse I would want to do is against, I have a couple choices. Yeah.
Is there somebody you would want to do it with?
Joke for joke?
Yeah,
I would go with my contemporaries. I'll hit you, Tiff. Let's go, Tiffany Haddish. Joke for joke.
I love that. Okay. I love it. Pierre, coming to you.
Well, I'm like Detroit. First of all, it's me versus everybody. Okay, I take all of me. People don't know. People who know me. I'll snap on anybody. I'll do a whole joke. But just for the fun of it, for the culture, let's get Gary Owens up there.
Ooh, I like it. Capone, not last but least, who would you want to see
Anybody, any and everybody who thinks they can challenge me, I would love that. Any of them. I would lose respect on every one of them. But I would like to see Vanessa and Tiffany.
Yeah. Now, Capone, I can't let you slide out without a name. You got to give me at least one name that you want to be on stage.
Ain't nobody can touch me on stage. Nobody.
Gerald Kelly. You don't want no Gerald Kelly. You don't want no Gerald Kelly. Okay.
Nobody can touch me on stage.
You gotta feel that way. I mean, for real, you should feel great about who.
No, I really feel that way. I really feel that way.
You should. We work hard for our jokes. For those who work hard for the joke,
yes,
and for the bit and for the premise, and you work hard for it, and for that punchline, let's go.
Yeah.
Capone don't want no Mark Vieira, no Rob.
He don't want Mark Vieira.
You don't want no Mark Vieira. You don't want no Mark Vieira. That's what you don't want. That's what you don't want. That Latino get on their ass.
Let me say this.
Okay.
And this is something that bothers me about the verses. It's a great thing. I spoke to Swiss personally, and I asked him, could I host one of the shows? And of course, Steve Harvey had the hosting job all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I said that I wanted to host him and Timberland, and he told me he would get back to me, and he ain't got back to me yet. And Swiss is my man, so I just want to put that out there and put a little heat onto him.
All right, well, I think that's a great way to close it out. Add that fire to the conversation. As always, I appreciate y'all for calling in. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the Dave versus Damon versus? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put
it in the comments.